Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had the draft and re-sign stage, and we pretty much kept the team as much together as possible, and also at the draft, we grabbed some great draft steals to hopefully give our team a better chance at winning in the next few years if those guys are to make it to the NHL. But very excited for the upcoming season, of course, but also kind of not, because obviously this team has had really bad success in the playoffs. I really hope that this year we don't suffer too much of a drop off in terms of overall from guys like Vance, from Reefers, also from Brunstrom, because the three of those guys have been the core of this team for quite some time at this point. And if those guys start to drop off a lot, it's going to make this team even have a worse chance probably at winning another Stanley Cup. We only got like another 7 seasons or so left of this, so I think that the series probably still will run to the end of NHL 23 likely, but I still hope that we have a chance to at least to get a Stanley Cup before the end of those 7 years, if we're even able to get to the end of those 7 years, because obviously it'd be nice to get the rest of the 7 years done, but I don't know if that's going to be possible within a just over a 2-month span. It might be. It depends on, I guess, how far we get into the playoffs and all that type of thing. But so anyways, before we get into free agency and simulating a little bit of the season, I do have a couple comments to go over. So the first, or well, they're actually all from Michael Dost. The first one says, I think the biggest mistake was getting rid of the high-ranked defensemen. I think you may need to pay some of them and keep them, as to me, the top 4 is so clutch. Sorry that this team is frustrating you as the Blackhawks are my favorite team. And yeah, I think maybe some of the defensive changes is what helped change this team's complexion and making them not as good. I am really still liking Jokela, but he has been not as good probably as I was hoping for. Maybe losing Ovechkin in that trade that we traded him to Colorado kind of hurt a little bit. We also did move out like of Gordon Lowry, so they're pretty much the core of the top 4 changed quite a bit, and maybe that's the reason why. I'm really hoping that somebody like Kachuk or Hutton could take that next step into being a really good top 4 defenseman for us, so that way we have a higher chance at being a good team for like the regular season and obviously the playoffs. And then the last and final comment from Michael says, I still don't like the 2 goalies at the NHL level as they seem a tad low to me. Can you take a look at Osala at defense free agent and see what you think of him? Also, Vorobev, Torres, and Melnick at goalie, please. Look at this, as I think they could be a way better than what you currently have at goaltenders. So he wants to change up the goaltending situation a little bit because he doesn't obviously trust these 2 youngsters. So I do think we're going to probably look into one of those goaltenders that he mentioned, and we'll probably run Tyukin as the backup, which means I think I'm going to be probably trading Blackburn because we have Marsh in the system. We also have these 2 medium elite goaltenders that we just recently drafted. So I think we'll probably trade away Blackburn in this episode. We'll sign ourselves one of those starting goaltenders if we can possibly get it, and then we'll obviously try and look at that Osala guy for defense, even though I don't know where I would necessarily slot him in, because we're going to probably have to use somebody like Leonardo Knights or Camachi as a depth defenseman. Bonino is obviously going to be back down in the AHL because he was just drafted. So anyways, that was that. We have $16 million in cap space, and I don't think we have any RFA holdouts, right? Unless we do. Let me just double check. Oh yeah, only Del Monte is an RFA holdout. So technically we actually have more defensemen than I was just looking at. So I don't really know about making a defensive signing in a sense. I might have to trade away somebody afterwards, but let me take a look at Osala anyways, just see how good he is. Maybe we don't need to sign him, but let's just take a look at what the Osala guy looks like on defense, and then I'll take a look at those goaltenders that Michael was mentioning. So Osala is an 81 overall top 4, wants 5 years at 6.5. He's very physical. Based on those penalty minute counts, this guy's very undisciplined. Yeah, very undisciplined. 677 PIMs in 515 games. Kind of a two-way defenseman, more defensively minded it looks like, but he can score goals from the back end because he has scored like 13 goals, 9 goals, 7 goals, 8 goals. His playoff numbers, he's won a Stanley Cup in Philadelphia. Pretty certain that is, I think. Maybe not. Maybe he went to the Stanley Cup Finals. But yeah, this guy's very, very aggressive. Like, let's take a look at those stats. It's weird, his physical category is actually not that crazy, but his aggressiveness isn't either. So why is this guy picking up so much penalty minutes? Is you think those would be what attributes into a physical defenseman, but I don't really see it. Like, the strength is solid, the durability is solid, body checking is not really that high. Like, he's got 3-star physical, and yet he's picking up that much amount of PIMs. Huh, that's interesting. The discipline must be low, right? Where's the discipline? Oh, and the discipline's okay, too, 83. I don't feel like that makes a lot of sense. Oh, well. I don't know if it's something we necessarily need. Let me just take a look and see where he fits. He doesn't fit our current coaching system. Huh. Yeah, I don't really know if he's the type of player I would bring in or not. Because he's pretty expensive, and we already technically have Del Monte, who's right around the same overall. And he would be demanding more ice time probably this year. I think if we want to put money into something, it would probably be the goaltending. Like Vorobyev, Torres, or Melnyk, like he's mentioning. And then obviously Del Monte is still going to get paid a little bit. But I think, I'm not going to probably sign ourselves a defenseman this year. Just because we already got so much already going for us, I might as well just keep it the way it is for now. And if we run into problems early on, maybe we could probably address some things. But let's take a look at those goaltenders that he was mentioning. So first, Vorobyev. 87 overall, starting goaltender, medium elite. He's been playing for Vancouver the last 5 years or so. Yeah, last 5 years. Hasn't really had like the best numbers. His best season was last year in 2038-39, where he had a 912, which is really good. So his goaltending was great that year, but this year the Canucks must not have been as good. He had an 896. Year before that 912, he had a 908, but he had a losing record. Looks like 3 out of 5 good seasons. And then his playoff numbers have been solid for like save percentage wise, but goals against wise not so much. Don't know if I'm sold on him yet. Let's take a look at Melnyk, which I think we've faced Nicholas Melnyk, right? He was Minnesota, yeah. And he's a free agent. Is he a UFA or RFA? UFA, okay, I just got to double check that. Damn, I'm surprised they let him go. He's only played 3 years in the NHL at this point, and all 3 of them have been pretty good except for that 896, but he did have a winning record. But that 919 is fantastic for that 1 year. That's really good. And then playoff-wise, he had 1 good year, and then the other year he was not so good. That was probably a year when we faced him in the playoffs, I would assume. Right? Yeah, I think that's a year we probably faced him in the playoffs. Actually, no, that's this season, so that's not when we faced him in the playoffs. When we faced him in the playoffs was this year that he had this 914, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He's kind of a bit more intriguing because he's a little bit younger. And then Torres, he's an 86, 26 years of age, wants less money than Melnyk. Let's take a look at his stat line. He's been playing in Arizona. He had a 933 as a backup 1 year. But as a starter, he's usually always been in the 890 range, which is not really that great. And his playoff numbers have been pretty solid, actually, for a losing record. A 918 through 7 games. So he might be a better playoff goaltender, but it's tough to tell, obviously, with the lack of experience. Who would I go with? Let me take a look at their individual attributes. Not that it really matters too much, but I'm curious on what this guy's good at. So Melnyk is really good reflex and athletic-wise. His puck control is his problem. We want to go down to, or up to Vorobyev. Vorobyev is pretty much the same boat. And Torres is really good, actually, puck control wise. Ron Torres is pretty much more balanced than the other goaltenders, because Melnyk has 3.5-star puck control, which is not great. But you go to Torres, he has a 5-star puck control, because his rebound control is really good and his recovery is really good. He doesn't play the puck a lot, but he has good passing. I feel like Ron Torres might be the guy, because he's got good playoff numbers from those 7 games he's played. And also the fact that he has the best puck control of the bunch. Not that it really matters, like I said, about like all these little attributes, because you could literally win a Stanley Cup with a 78 overall goaltender. But, yeah, sure, Ron Torres is going to be my guy, I think. I'm going to give him a chance. We'll give him a 2-year deal as well, because $5 million really is not a lot. I'm going to just talk him up a little bit, because I don't know if he's not going to want to sign with a team that's not technically a contender, I guess. But we'll sign Torres to that. 2 years at 5.2. I hope he doesn't win a Vezina and then all of a sudden demand a shit ton when that ends, though, because that would be kind of suck. But we'll sign him up. which means we will trade away Huey, I think it was. Was it Huey or what's the other guy's name? Blackburn? I don't remember which goaltender it is that we still have. Even though I literally just looked not too long ago. Okay, it is Blackburn. So let's see what we can get for Blackburn. Let me actually go to the trade finder because we'll probably accept something that gets thrown to us. And then after that, we will probably advance to the start of the season and get our roster set up and simulate a decent chunk. Because I do want to get through another season as fast as possible in a sense, but also being aware of our team and all that type of thing. Damn, only a 4th and a 5th, really. Package Slotty straight up, that's actually kind of funny. I don't really want Package Slotty's contract, even though I did like Package Slotty when he was playing here, but a lot of different offers. We got 40 different offers. Most of them are 4th and 5th. There's a 3rd and a 4th. Okay, 14. Morales and a 4th. Bonvie in a 4th, so that's another defenseman. Not that we need another defenseman. Yeah, if our teams are really underperforming to start this year, maybe we'll look into making some changes on the defensive front, but for right now, I think I want to just keep it the same and see how that works out. Okay, so I think I'll accept offer number 14 because we're getting a 3rd and a 4th in that deal. The other ones are mostly 4th and 5ths or low top 6 prospects, which usually don't pan out, low top 4s. So yeah, Blackburn going to the Dallas Stars, which is in our division, so it's a little bit of a risk. Was there another one that involved a 3rd? Oh, there is another one from Nashville, but that's also in our division. Is there one that's not in our division? No, please. Philadelphia, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Send him to the Eastern Conference. We get a 3rd and a 5th instead of a 3rd and a 4th. But I think I would rather trade him to Philadelphia, honestly. I just don't want it to be in our division. I mean, Nashville is the 3rd round pick, though, of this deal, too, which obviously is in our division. There's also a 3rd rounder in LeClaire, but that's a bit of a steep contract. It is another defenseman, but it's something I don't really need. A 3rd and a 4th from St. Louis, that's once again in our division. God damn. Seems like everybody in our division wants this guy. 2 3rd round picks from the Vegas Golden Knights, so that's not in our division. That's technically in the West still. But we do get 2 3rd round picks. You know what? We're going to do this one from Vegas instead. The 2 3rd round picks. Yeah, Blackburn stays in the Western Conference, but at least he's not in our division, so it's not like we're going to be facing him every single night almost. And hopefully we don't have to play him in a playoff scenario. But yeah, he's going to get sent to Vegas for 2 3rd round picks. So there you go. We have traded away Blackburn. And we should hopefully get that goaltender that's a free agent. If he doesn't accept now, that will be pretty annoying. Let's see. We're getting some trade offers. Come on, goaltender. Hey, there you go. Ron Torres has accepted. So there is our goaltender. Hopefully that will turn this team a little bit defensively. And I think we're pretty much ready to sim up to the start of the season because now we got these 2 goaltenders. Defensively, obviously, Del Monte is going to get jumped into this. Forward-wise, we go 4, 5. Yeah, because I'll use 90 as a depth option. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think that might be okay. Yeah, I think that might be okay. I might want to sign 1 depth forward just as a fail-safe. So let's assign 1 depth option on forwards, actually preferably center. And then that's all we're going to sign. And then we're going to sim up to the start of next season and see what we got. So let's look for somebody that's maybe a bit more defensively minded. That's not too old. Appleby. And not the best 2-way forward, but he might be okay. He has played for the Habs, it looks like, right? A couple years ago, so he might have won a Stanley Cup in the series, but he's kind of a very fringe NHLer. There's also Generous, who's technically listed as a 4th liner grinder. We don't really have a grinder in our lineup. We're going to sign this guy as a depth option. Even if he technically is listed as a 4th liner, might as well sign ourselves a grinder. And because we really don't have those type of physical players in our lineup. Maybe that's something we're getting pushed around a little bit. I don't really know. Got to go a little bit old school and get some physicalness to our team. So Quinn Generous is accepted. And now we got to get ready for another season. And yeah, I'm really hoping that this is a bounce back year for this team. Obviously, after missing the playoffs, hopefully somebody like Vance goes completely off this year. Because Vance had 44 goals last year, which was a really low goal total for him. Because normally he's scoring 50 plus. But, I mean, he did what he could pretty much with the team around him. So I don't blame him at all. I really hope he has a 50, 60 goal season in him. And I hope that, like I said, that Reefers and Brunstrom don't drop off too much, because if they do, that's going to probably hurt this team more. So yeah, because those two guys especially might be very close to retirement. Like, easily they could retire this season or next season or even the season afterwards, or even they could still keep playing longer. Who knows? What do you want, Del Monte? 1 year at 3-2? You got it. We still got like $9 million in cap space as well, so we are able to make any trades probably during the regular season if we absolutely need to. But right now, I don't think we're going to be making any trades for a little bit unless we know that this team's underperforming. Because this team did start off the season last year not too good, so I hope that this year they could start off a little bit better and we don't get as much regulation losses. Let me just make sure that nobody was sent down that shouldn't be. Burrish technically should be up here and in the lineup. Yeah, Burrish needs to be up here because I do not want Nighty playing this year. I want him being as a depth option, and that's it. So Parker Burrish is going to come up. And we'll go best lines in the AHL for now. But let's go best lines here in the NHL. See what we got. Okay, so Reefers first line center, Vance on the wing. Brissois on that side. Parker Burrish actually works really well in the top 6, which is interesting, but I don't know why they put Corrado here when Corrado's not a face-off man, but he does have actually good face-off stats. But Parker Burrish is the face-off type of guy. We want Adamski up here. I do want to put Ziska here. Okay. It's looking decent so far. I don't know why Recky's all the way down there. He dropped down to an 83, though. That's kind of concerning. I want Recky up there. Yeah, Huxley's going to have to be a 4th liner. And then we have one more player, and that is Martins to get in, I think. Who's better on face-offs? I think it was Burrish, right? Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of players to try and fit into this lineup. Like, a lot of guys aren't going to get as much ice time as they probably should. Yeah, I could go Burrish 3rd line. How much points did Martins have last year? 31, but a minus 19. Yeah, let's go with something like this for our forward core. Yeah, we're going to go with something like this. We could always swap Gustafsson and Huxley as well, because Gustafsson's more of a checking forward. Defensively, Del Monte and Knights, I don't really want that. I might want Kamachi in instead of Leonardo Knights. Maybe not. He's going to complain about ice time if he doesn't get the play, though. This is the only thing. But Leonardo Knights could drive some more offense from our back end, which would be great. So, top four. Yeah, there's going to be some complaints of ice time, likely, with this team. Wow, Torres jumped to an 88. And Tayukin jumped to an 85? Are you kidding me? I don't know if that's going to be like that at the start of the actual season, but damn. Okay, there's our depth. Let me just double check the power play units. So Vance, yeah, that's all good. Leonardo Knights should be on the 2nd unit technically, but I don't think he has any spot to fit in there. Maybe I'll put him on the 4-man unit instead of Yokel. Maybe not instead of Yokel, instead of Del Monte. Because I do want Leonardo Knights to get a little bit more offensive ice time to maybe get himself some goals and points. Yeah, I think we're going to run with this team. I know it's not necessarily... Well, it is a good team looking on paper, but we really don't know how good it's going to simulate, so might as well keep it like that. Let me double check the AHL, make sure we have the right prospects in, and then we'll simulate a little bit. So AHL-wise, let me make sure... No scratch players. Okay, that's good. And everybody is in the lineup. I don't think Ribero's going to pan out, unfortunately, but we do still have, like, Gustavo Brown down there. We have Rizzi, who... Oh, yeah, we acquired him from Nashville. I was like, where did we get him from? But we got him from Nashville. This guy's technically almost an NHL-ready player. There's a lot of really solid AHL players that could be on the cusp of the NHL, like 76, 77 overall. And then there's Benino, who's jumping to the AHL for his first season, which is going to be exciting. And also, the low starter is up to a 70, so he might make the NHL at some point if he keeps on growing, which is great. So there you go. Let's get into simulating some of this season and see what happens, because honestly, at this point, I have no idea what is a contender and what isn't a contender. Because I think we had a similar roster last year, and obviously we didn't do that well. We managed to get almost back up to 500, but we still lost a lot in regulation. So is this the type of team that actually could do a lot better with the goaltending situation improving drastically, like having a young Tayukin as the backup and also bringing in that starting goaltender who we just signed in free agency in Torres? Maybe that's what's going to turn this team around, but not that great of a preseason, which is kind of weird, but hopefully the regular season's a little bit better. And yeah, like I said, hopefully we don't get too much of a drop off from our main guys. I think Recky's close to retirement as well, which is not good. Because the three of those guys, Recchi, Brunstrom, and Reefers, I think those guys are going to retire before Vance likely. But Vance might still retire in the next few years too, which is not great. Because obviously, we lose Vance, we lose pretty much all our offense. So, this is what the team looks like actually at the start of the season. So yeah, Recchi's down to an 83, still a top 6. Reefer's an 86, top 6, but listed as a second liner. And then Brunstrom's an 86, still listed as a top 2 though, in terms of role, which is interesting. Tayukin is an 84 overall, so technically he is a good starting goaltender right now, but obviously he has no experience in the NHL, so that's why we brought in Torres on a 2-year deal. We can still flip Torres if we want to at the draft, if Tayukin is actually ready to take that leap as the starting goaltender next season. So, let's go up to game 41 if we can. I don't want this episode to be super long for you guys, but at the same time, I like to always get at least halfway part of the season done. It really depends on how we're performing. Because if we're underperforming, maybe I'll stop it a little bit earlier. And Zubers has already been injured, so I guess that means Clarence Knighty might get a first taste of NHL action already. Which is kind of crazy. That's kind of good to see him get some NHL action, though, because he's like 32 years old, and he's been playing always in the AHL, so good to see him finally get a chance. And Zubers is back, which is nice. How did Knighty do? 3 goals in 4 games? Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. He did get power play time, I guess, with Zubers being out. But wow, 3 goals in 4 games. We might have ourselves a good depth scorer. Let me stop the sim so I can actually see this stuff. We're losing games. We're 2-4 to start the season. I might have to look into coaching still to change that up. There's a win. There's another win, though, and a loss. 4-5. I mean, it's at least close to 500. We are still losing a lot in regulation, which is pretty similar to last year. And Vance is killing it right now. He's got 13 points in 9 games, 7 goals. So, yeah, Vance is trying to do whatever he can for this team at the moment. He's not up for renewal, though. I was just curious if his contract came to an end or not. Because if his contract was up for renewal, we would need to re-sign him easily. Do I want to make any adjustments yet? Probably not. Because it's still too early to tell if this team's not doing good enough. Let's go another month and see how we're doing at that point before we go ahead and make some line adjustments. There's 2 more losses. 3 more losses. Guys, come on. Okay, I think we need to make a change, maybe. Let me see how we play the rest of this month still. There's 3 wins in a row and then another loss. Yeah, we're very inconsistent still. We don't want to go too far in this episode probably because or else we might be too far out of it at this point. But 10-11-1, we did find ourselves back to almost 500 again. But still losing that much in regulation is not a good sign. Because we've played now 22 games. And we only have 10 wins. We are currently only a little bit back of a wild card spot, I think, though. Yeah. So we're in an okay predicament still, but it's just, I don't know. 27 points, though. Vance is definitely going off this year. Did he drop in potential out of curiosity? Is he still an elite player? I gotta double check that. Yeah, he's still a first liner and he's still elite, so that's good. But I can see him retiring in the next 2 years, which is not great. So let's continue simulating. Let's continue simulating. Like, I know our record's not ideal at this point, but maybe we're gonna turn it around and be above 500 at the end of one of these months. Let's go to the 16th of December. See if we're more above 500 or below 500 still at that point. Wow, 2 more losses, one of them in overtime, another one in overtime. My goodness, why do we lose so much? Yeah, that was a really bad stretch. 11, 15, and 3. Okay, we got to make some line adjustments here. But yeah, Vance is still killing it, but this team is not. We might have to look into more adjustments. Let's flop Huxley and Gustafson. Martins and Burish. I think, yeah, Martins and Burish. And we'll move Corrado to top line, Brossoit to second line. And the rest of this, let's swap Hutton and Del Monte. And let's also take is Knights. Knights has been good, actually. 10 assists in 29 games is really good. I was going to say, if he was underperforming, maybe I would take him out. But he's been good, so. We should probably put Komachi in the lineup again soon, though. Because maybe that'll make us a bit more of a defensive team. But it's hard to find spots for all these guys, right? Let's continue to simulate. Continue to simulate. So let's go to the end of this month. See if we could win some games now. We lose again. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think I don't know what is the problem with this team, if it's the coaching staff still or what, but we are just having a major problem. Adamski has sprained his ankle. That's not great. Let's go replace player. But yeah, I don't know what the problem is with this team. And now Connor Recchi has been injured. Let's go replace player on that. So there's two guys in our top 6 that have been injured, but Adamski just literally got thrown back in, I think. Yeah, he did. Generous is playing second line center. Oh, well. We'll just leave him. 13 and 20. Not good. We had a really bad month there. A really bad month. We only got like another 4 games before we're at the halfway stature, 5 games. So we'll probably go those 5 games, but I think at this moment we might not be a playoff team again this season. I need to look at the coaching staff for a second, because Anze Kopitar, I don't know what this team is doing. 63% team fit. You think it would be better than that, but 63 is still solid. And he teaches defense, but for some reason our defense is our problem. Or our goaltending or our offense, I don't really know. I'm going to make a temporary change and put Burris as a second line center while that injury happened. And Generous will go down to the 4th line. Yeah, we'll do something like that. We only got 5 more games to sim in this episode anyways, so we might as well sim them. But yeah, I'm not really liking the looks of this team right now, aside from Vance. So let's go all the way to the 12th, not to the 19th, because we want to go halfway point. And yeah, hopefully we could get at least some wins here. Get ourselves back to being closer to 500, as Recchi's already back, which means we got to take out Generous. Throw Recchi in. Recchi needs to go back up to the second line. Adamski has not really been a good second line center, to be honest. I mean, he's been okay, but his plus minus is terrible. I think I'm going to make some adjustments and make him the 3rd line center instead. And we're going to give Burish a big shot into the top 6 randomly. Because we might as well at this stage, and we'll put Brossoit back to the top line where he was before. Yeah, I think we'll go with this, but I don't know why this team's so bad. Why is this team losing so many games? Yeah, we're not making the playoffs this year, guys, again, I think. At this point, I would rather probably just tank the rest of the season. I don't even know. 14, 23, and 4 is absolutely dreadful. Vance is still doing great, but obviously if we get rid of a lot of players on this team, Vance will not do as well. And we want Vance to still do well. But at this point, we are way out of a playoff spot again. I don't know if our division has just gotten stronger or what, but for some reason this team is not doing that well. Even with a goaltending upgrade. Let's take a look at our team stats and player stats. Maybe it's the defensive core like you guys were mentioning, but I don't know who gets shipped out and all that type of thing. Like if we look at entire league-wise right now, we are the 4th worst team in the NHL. Boston's also down there, Ottawa, and Philadelphia. Yeah, we're not going to make the playoffs at this rate. We might as well try and get a 1st overall pick. Offensively, we are okay offensively, it seems like, for the most part, like halfway point. But our goals against is one of the worst in the league, even with the goaltending upgrade. So, Power play is also not looking that great. Penalty kills looking okay, but Wow, Boston's got a terrible penalty kill. Geez, 69%. Huh. We're better on the road though. Home wise, we've only won 3 games out of 21 games. That's actually kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I don't really know what this team needs, and I don't really know if I want to get rid of everybody either. I don't know if it's just a coaching change we need to do, but yeah, Vance is doing really well. Reefers is also doing really well. Burrish has actually been doing surprisingly well too. 20 points is not too bad. Not too bad at all. Adamski has been solid as well, but minus 14. And then you get into Martins and Ziska. Yeah, the depth scoring's okay. The depth scoring's okay with these guys. It's a plus minus that's a bit of a worry. Gustafsson 19 points. Huxley on 11. Brossois on 42. Brossois been good. Recky's been solid, but minus 17. Corrado's absolutely been dreadful. 16 points is not really that great. And he's a minus 26. And you got Zubris, who's not been that good. But yeah, Corrado's been dreadful on offense. Defensively, Burnstrom's offense has definitely declined because of his age. Yeah, he's rapidly declining offensively. Like 59 points to 44 to 30, down to 11 and 41. He's only on pace for 22. He does have still one more year on his contract after this, but I obviously still kind of want to keep him because he is been here his entire career. But Yokel has been solid. But in terms of defensive points, it's pretty balanced, but it definitely needs to improve. Leonardo Knights might have been our best defenseman so far at this point because he's not even minus. He isn't getting a lot of ice time though, so might make sense. And in the goaltending numbers, Torres has a 900, so at least that's okay. But the goals against on both goalies have been dreadful. Tayukin has been absolutely terrible. Has an 84 overall goaltender. Yeah, he's been absolutely terrible. An 860 through 10 games. What is with these young goaltenders not performing? So weird. I want to take a look at the entire league as well quickly. So Parks and Manlow up there in points. Who's up there in goals? Sylvain Parks. Vance is up there, but Parks has already got 35 goals, so likely that Vance doesn't get another Richard. Yeah, I don't really know what it's going to take to get this team around the corner. Of course, Melnick seems to be winning a lot of games. We could have signed him in free agency, but no. And there's Aiden Howden. He's in Carolina, in case you guys wanted to know about him. What the hell do we do? What the hell do we do? Because I honestly don't know. I think we just probably should try and tank. Is there a good pick, at least, in this year's draft? Unknown power forward that's listed as a gem. Please be a franchise player, because that'd be awesome. Especially if we win the draft lottery this year. But knowing my luck, we're going to find a way to get closer to 500. But there is some good defensemen in top 5 of this year's draft, at least. There's also some good forwards that are power forwards and snipers, so guys that could score goals like Vance can. So maybe we want to take a chance and not make the playoffs. As weird as it is. The only thing is we might suffer some retirements and that could hurt us. But it would be really nice to get a really good top pick in the draft too. But at the same time, I really don't know if I want to make this team tank. Because that wouldn't be fun. So there is that. Let's finally just take a look at the trading block. But we are probably likely not going to salvage this season at the point we're at right now. We're just going through some really tough seasons here in Chicago. Like my Anchorage season has been much better. As you guys would have seen, I guess the day before this, my Anchorage team has done much better. And I would say on paper, the rosters are pretty similar. This team might have a little bit better depth overall wise, but it's just so weird. Like, I don't get what turns a team into winning a Stanley Cup and what doesn't. There is players on the block I could trade for to make this team better, but is it too late is the question. Because we are at game 41, we'd have to have like a really good second half of the season if we want to make the playoffs. Because we're like more than 10 points back, I think. So I think at this rate, it's probably best just to not make the playoffs and to kind of maybe get rid of somebody decently big on our team to maybe make this team worse. I don't know. I do not know whatsoever. This might be one of the toughest years I've had in terms of trying to find ways to win in the playoffs, and then now winning in the regular season is a problem for us too. Because we have not, this would be the second year in a row we would miss the playoffs, and I think that would be the first time in this entire series that that's happened since we were in our rebuilding state. Because there was that one season we had way back that was absolutely dreadful. But I don't think I've missed back-to-back since a long, long time ago. It's really unfortunate, though, because obviously having a great player like Asher Vance is fun to have. But when the team itself isn't doing enough, it's very painful, too. Because I do really like a lot of players in this series, but I don't like how we just can't get over the playoff hump. For example, we win one Stanley Cup, and we struggled to get out of the first round / second round. And now we can't even get into the playoffs. So there is that. And that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll do whatever you guys think is necessary for this team. Do we just get rid of some good players and tank the rest of the season to try and get the #1 overall pick? I don't really know what we want to do, but let me know what you guys think we should do. And I'll see you guys next time.